Small studios, massive ambitions. These indie games weren't built by corporate giants. They were crafted by passionate creators, pouring their hearts into every pixel. They're moving, daring, sometimes weird, sometimes profound, and often unforgettable. Today we're diving into the best indie titles you can play.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
I would be hard-pressed to think of many narrative games that hit every single story beat so poignantly and powerfully as Indika.
You. The cloisters is here!
None is fine.
The story touches on themes of religious trauma, power, and society, and asks the player to examine why we believe what we believe. In the game, you play as Indika, a young Russian nun who is plagued by the voice of the devil in her head. When she embarks on a long journey, she meets another unlikely traveling companion in the form of Ela, a former criminal who claims to speak directly with God. The plot twists and turns in surprising and sometimes sadly unsurprising in all too real ways. But most of the appeal for me was the earnestness and sincerity of the conversation between characters. This is a beautiful, profound, and heart-wrenching game. Katana Zero is a side-scrolling platformer that delivered some of the most brutally difficult combat on this list. You'll face those intense challenges as Subject Zero, a katana-wielding assassin with some seriously powerful abilities. You can slow down time, dodge bullets, and even glimpse into the future. Tools that give you a fighting chance, but only if you master their timing. While the fast, precise gameplay takes center stage, it's the presentation that elevates Katana Zero to indie greatness. Every level is beautifully handcrafted, drenched in a striking neo-noir aesthetic that makes each scene feel like a graphic novel in slow motion. The synth-heavy soundtrack pulses alongside the action, keeping you locked in from start to finish. It's stylish, slick, and unforgettable.
And GDF now knows of the might we possess.
There's something kind of comforting about going back to a classic RTS structure. Base building, resource gathering, chunky units marching across the map. It scratches a very specific itch. Tempest Rising gets that. It doesn't feel like it's trying to reinvent anything. It's like one of those games you'd find on a random disc in a PC Gamer magazine back in the day, except it actually rules. You're clicking around, setting up your power grid, rushing for Tiberium-like crystals, all while managing that low-level panic that the AI might send a wave of tanks at any second. That's the good stuff. Explosions, synth-heavy music, units yelling nonsense. Feels like it was made by people who grew up loving the same kind of games we did. If you're the kind of person who kept Command & Conquer installed for years, this one's speaking your language. Ever play a game that feels like it actually wants to kill you? Like it's not just challenging, it's personal. That's Noita. It drops you in, hands you a wand, and then sits back and watches as you explode yourself with your own spell 10 seconds later. It's beautiful. Every pixel in this game is simulated, so when you burn something, it burns properly. Once it clicks and you start experimenting and making these weird, busted custom spells that melt the screen, it becomes magic. Literal chaos magic. Every inch of progress feels like you fought the game and won. Or at least survived. Barely. You start in a pile of junk. No instructions, no text, just a little robot picking itself up and trying to put these things back together. It feels lonely in a good way. Quiet. Everything creaks and clicks, like the whole world's been left behind. The puzzles make you slow down and actually look. You end up connecting wires, tricking guards, solving weird little mechanical problems, and whatever scraps you can find. Nothing is handed to you. That's what makes solving anything feel solid. The art hits immediately. Every screen looks like it was sketched in a notebook during a rainy afternoon. Grimy, detailed, weirdly beautiful. The music hums along in the background like it's part of the machinery. Machinarium doesn't pull any stunts. It builds a mood and keeps it there. And if that kind of slow burn world works with you, this one's going to stick. Felvidek has this scrappy energy I really respect. It drops you into medieval Slovakia. Everything's grim, muddy, and you're swinging rusty weapons at plague-ridden weirdos while peasants shout nonsense in the background. It's crude in a way that kind of works, like an old Flash game that grew up and got mean. There's a charm here. The art style looks like a woodcut carving gone feral. The humor is dry and dark, and the voice acting feels like it was recorded in someone's garage. I mean that as a compliment, mostly. It's not polished, it's not smooth, but if you're into gritty oddball projects that do their own thing, there's something here worth trying. The long dark doesn't care how clever you think you are. You wake up cold, hungry, alone, and already on the edge of dying. No zombies, no monsters, just weather, starvation, and poor decisions slowly catching up to you. It's survival at its most grounded, and it hits harder because of it. That endless howling wind, the creak of the trees, the distant crack of ice breaking, it all builds this tension that never fully lets go. You start rationing matches like they're gold. Finding a can of peaches feels like winning the lottery. That kind of pacing that won't work for everyone. Sometimes it drags. You walk a lot, you freeze a lot. There are stretches when basically nothing happens. And then suddenly everything happens at once and you're bleeding out behind a fishing hut. But when it works, it really works. It's lonely, slow, and absolutely haunting. Just a quick disclaimer. This list is kind of a mix of indie and AA. We mainly just wanted to highlight smaller games you might not have played, and our next game, Frostpunk, is one of those cool titles worth checking out. You're managing a city on the brink of freezing to death, trying to keep people alive while making choices that feel morally terrible but somehow necessary. It's not a happy place, and that's why it sticks with you. The game can be hard, especially when things snowball out of control, and you realize your entire population hates you for the right decisions you made. The mechanics force you to balance hope and harsh reality in a way that messes with your head and your patience. You'll find yourself staring at the screen, trying to decide if sacrificing a few workers is worth keeping everyone else warm. Frostpunk's not a feel-good time, but it's one hell of an experience.
One of the few left.
Everspace 2 is the kind of game where you hop on for 20 minutes, then somehow lose an entire evening without noticing. It nails that loop. Fly around, blow stuff up, grab loot, upgrade your ship, do it again. The controls are tight, the explosions are flashing, and the movement, super satisfying. You drift, boost, strafe, it's got that flow. It leans more toward Diablo in space than a sim, so if you're expecting deep systems or fuel management or whatever, this isn't it. Personally, I like the shift. Sometimes you just want to cruise through asteroid fields and melt pirates with lasers that shoot purple lightning. That said, the story's kind of whatever. Voice acting's alright, but you're not exactly hanging on every plot point. It's really the gameplay that keeps you locked in. Combat's fun, loot's addictive, and looks gorgeous in motion.
You have been warned.
This War of Mine takes on a compelling journey into the civilian experience during wartime. As you guide a group of survivors, you're faced with heart-wrenching decisions that have life and death consequences. This emotionally charged exploration of moral dilemmas and the cost of survival offers a gaming experience that's often overshadowed by more mainstream titles. In this War of Mine, you'll gain a profound perspective on the human condition in times of conflict, making it a hidden gem that deserves your attention and empathy.
So, it's all about trickery to you?
Plunge into a hauntingly beautiful and surreal world plagued by a mysterious epidemic. As one of 3 playable characters, you must navigate a town in chaos, balancing survival, unraveling the complex narrative, and making morally ambiguous choices that shape the destiny of the inhabitants. Pathologic challenges your perception of reality, immersing you in a narrative-driven experience filled with philosophical themes, psychological horror, and atmospheric storytelling. This underrated indie title offers a unique and thought-provoking exploration of human nature, morality, and the consequences of our actions. With its atmospheric visuals, haunting soundtrack, and deep philosophical undertones, Pathologic is an unforgettable journey into darkness that leaves a lasting impression if you're brave enough to take the plunge.
The outcome was to be expected, I'm afraid.
FTL, Faster Than Light, is a captivating indie gem that puts you in the role of spaceship captain. Tasked with embarking on a perilous voyage through a hostile galaxy. In this strategic space adventure, you must skillfully manage limited resources, confront difficult choices, and engage in tactical battles against formidable enemy vessels. With its distinctive blend of strategy, roguelike elements, and intense space combat, FTL offers a challenging and addictive experience, featuring permadeath mechanics and infinite replayability. This game will push your skills and decision-making abilities to their limits, within the merciless expanse of the cosmos. Return of the Obra Dinn is a captivating puzzle game set on the East India Company's ship in the early 1800s. Immerse yourself in the role of an insurance investigator tasked with unraveling the haunting fate of the crew aboard a ghost ship, the Obra Dinn. The story unveils by exploring the vessel and using a magical pocket watch to witness the crew's final moments. The game's unique monochromatic art style, reminiscent of old Macintosh games, adds to its intriguing atmosphere. This one gets a lot of praise online and remains a favorite among a lot of you. Dredge is a single-player fishing game with a dark and ominous undercurrent. You man a small trawler and venture out into the deep in search of more than 125 deep-sea critters, valuables, and hidden secrets. You can travel from island to island, reaching new places and completing quests for citizens that you meet along the way. There are tons of islands, each with its own unique opportunities, inhabitants, and importantly, secrets. The possibilities are endless in this edition. While Dredge may look cute with its beautiful art style and landscape, there's more than meets the eye under the water, and in the depths of this Lovecraftian adventure, which is why it's one of our top picks. Undertale is the reason Toby Fox is a household name in the video game business, as it's Fox's wonderful score. Subversive writing and wicked sense of humor catapulted Undertale to the unofficial Indie Hall of Fame. Officially, Undertale has won 3 high-profile gaming awards, and been nominated for a laundry list of others. It's never been hailed as a beautiful game, but Undertale is written and designed to surprise the most seasoned gamers with fourth-wall breaking jokes and commentary, beautiful music, and engaging combat. It would be a disservice to reveal anything more about Undertale, as it's one game that's best to experience blind. So I'll leave you to download and play it for yourself. Like now, go! Gris is a masterclass in understated storytelling and evocative art direction. With a sturdy foundation of inventive platforming and clever puzzle solving as a bonus, this is the indie game to play if you're looking for something to remind you how beautiful video games can be. It's the atmospheric music and very personal nature of Gris that makes this work of art worth exploring for indie fans in search of a quieter, more reflective experience. Valheim is a Nordic delight where you and up to 10 bearded buddies attempt to break out a procedurally generated purgatory. To do so, you'll need to gather up resources, build yourself some nice gear, and beat a handful of big baddies scattered across the land. Purgatory is actually quite nice early on, at least. You're dropped into a beautiful forest biome, filled with boar and little goblin dudes, before you'll need to venture out into dark woods and plains teeming with massive ogres and horrid, overgrown mosquitoes. Right, our next indie game, Fragile Existence, hits that slow burn survival vibe. Think of it like a stripped down, no-frill survival sim, where every little decision counts. You're managing a tiny crew trying to make it through the apocalypse, and the game makes sure you feel the weight of every choice. It's less about flashy action and more about patience, planning, and that creeping tension that something's about to go sideways. There's a real feeling of fragility, like you're holding on to survival by a thread, and one wrong move could unravel everything. If you're into survival games that aren't screaming for attention but quietly wear you down, Fragile Existence is worth looking at. Alright, next up, we've got Shadowrun Returns. This is a lean, moody cyberpunk RPG that drops you into a world where megacorps run everything. Elves sling spells and everyone's got a price. It's grimy, it's fast, and it never overstays its welcome. You're a Shadowrunner, basically a freelance merc working jobs that bounce between hacking networks and putting bullets in heads. It's turn-based tactics, XCOM style but tighter. No bloated systems, no fluff, just clean, focused combat that makes every move count. Story's the real hook here. Noir vibes, dead partner, conspiracy spiraling out of control. Dialogue respects your intelligence. Like corporate dystopia meets street-level magic. It shouldn't work, but it absolutely does. Shadowrun Returns knows exactly what it is. No wasted time, just style, grit, and a solid ride. Underrail is the kind of game that throws you into a collapsing underground metro system full of mutants, cults, toxic politics, and says, figure it out. No training wheels, just you, a rusty pistol, and a lot of bad decisions waiting to happen. The turn-based combat in this one is quite unforgiving. Builds matter a lot. If you try to play it like a casual RPG, it'll chew you up. But if you take the time to understand its systems, stealth, psi powers, traps, energy weapons, it opens up in a way that's honestly brilliant. Slow burn, but worth it. One thing I like is the writing's cold utilitarian style. Scavenging scraps, picking sides, or not. If you like the old Fallouts but wanted something even harsher and more mechanical, Underrail scratches that itch like it's got nails. Just don't go in blind. This one makes you earn it. Few indie games have seen success like Subnautica. While developer Unknown Worlds is now working on a third entry that may no longer be considered indie, the original certainly was. Released in early access in 2014, it slowly built a devoted community. Subnautica is survival at its purest. You're dropped on a mostly oceanic alien planet, tasked with uncovering the fate of your crashed ship, curing a strange illness, and exploring the deep. Crafting, very light combat, and bizarre sea creatures fill the experience. But beware, some of this sea life is deadly, and encounters can be sudden. It's a game best understood by diving in yourself.
As they did.
Alien's Dark Descent comes from a smaller studio that knows how to pack a punch, without all the big budget shine. It's got that grim, tense atmosphere you want from an Aliens game. Dark hallways, creeping dread, and the feeling that trouble's lurking just around the corner. You're commanding a squad, juggling strategy and survival. You can tell the team really cared about capturing the mood and the universe, while putting their own spin on it. The gameplay blends tactical squad control and those classic sci-fi horror vibes, which feels pretty unique. The sound design and art do a great job of pulling you into that dark, unforgiving world. If you like games from smaller teams that punch above their weight and bring a lot of heart, this one's worth your time.
You like that, huh?
Some games try too hard to be deep, but Death's Door just is. It's a simple premise. You're a little crow working as a Grim Reaper, collecting souls in a world where death has stopped working properly. But behind that is a game with razor-sharp combat, surprisingly emotional storytelling, and a world that keeps pulling you in. The combat feels like a mix of Zelda and Dark Souls, tight, responsive, and all about timing. You've got melee, ranged attacks, and dodges, and every fight demands precision. What sells this one for me is the world. Every area feels handcrafted, full of secrets, environmental storytelling, and NPCs with just the right mix of weird and charming. The music absolutely carries the game's atmosphere, shifting from haunting piano to grand orchestral swells at just the right moments. No filler, no wasted space, just a beautifully designed action adventure that hits way harder than you'd expect. What do you do when you combine vampires, dark choices, and an incredible narrative? Vampire. This isn't your average vampire game. It's a deep dive into morality and self-restraint. You play as Dr. Jonathan Reed, a newly turned vampire trying to balance his oath to heal with his thirst for blood. Every choice you make impacts not only the story, but the lives of the people around you. Do you feed on innocent civilians to get stronger, or do you try to keep your humanity intact? Now, I played this one on release, and I did think it was pretty fun to play. Looking back, it definitely holds up a pretty solid title. The best thing about it is the old London setting. It's gritty, atmospheric, and filled with shades of gray. It's an RPG that makes you question the nature of good and evil, while still giving you a kick-ass combat system. If you're into narrative-driven games with a lot of moral weight, this is a perfect pick. Yeah, you play as a cat, but Stray isn't just a ha-ha funny cat game, it's a surprisingly deep cyberpunk adventure that nails the feeling of being a four-legged little troublemaker. Exploring a neon-lit city as a stray means you're jumping across rooftops, squeezing into tiny spaces, and knocking stuff off shelves just because you can. But there's more to it. There's a real sense of mystery, and the way the game slowly unravels its world makes it way more emotional than you'd expect. Honestly, this is probably my favorite game on this list. So underrated. I mean, who knew playing as a cat could be so much fun? It's not an open-world sandbox, and it doesn't try to be. Instead, it's a tight, focused experience that tells a story in a way only a game like this could. If you want something chill but immersive, Stray is absolutely worth your time. Inside doesn't waste time explaining itself. It just throws you into a bleak, unsettling world and dares you to figure it out. It's from the creators of Limbo. If you thought that game was dark, Inside cranks up the weirdness and atmosphere to new heights. I remember playing this the first time on release, running through a dystopian nightmare, being chased by guards, avoiding mind control experiments, and encountering things that are way worse. There's no dialogue, no cutscenes, just a constantly evolving world that tells its story through the environment. Every little movement feels deliberate, from the way the boy stumbles to the terrifyingly lifelike animations of the creatures you encounter. Man, the thing I love about indie games is they never age, and Inside is not an exception. The puzzles are clever but never frustrating, blending seamlessly into the world. And then there's that ending. No spoilers, but it's one of the most unforgettable moments in gaming. Disturbing, surreal, and impossible to stop thinking about. Into the Breach takes the chaos of turn-based strategy and makes it feel clean. Every move matters, every mistake is your fault, and every battle is a perfect little puzzle waiting to be solved. It's XCOM without the randomness. No missed shots, no surprises, just pure tactical planning. I love the art style on this one. It reminds me of playing Advance Wars back in the day. With this one, you're commanding a team of mechs, trying to hold back giant monsters from wrecking civilization. The hook? You always know what the enemy is going to do next. Instead of reacting, you're anticipating, pushing, blocking, or baiting enemies into attacking the wrong thing. It's a game about control, not luck, and that makes every victory feel earned. The pixel art is clean, the music is great, and with different squads, pilot abilities, and randomized maps, you never know what you're going to get. It's one of the best strategy games ever made, in my opinion. If you haven't played it yet, you need to fix that. Next up, we've got one of the best indie titles of all time. Some games tell you what to do. Outer Wilds will just drop you into space, hands you a ship, and says good luck. There's no traditional progression, no upgrades, no skill trees, just knowledge. The only way to progress is to uncover the truth about the tiny solar system through exploration. Every 22 minutes the sun explodes and the loop resets, but you keep everything you've learned, and that's what makes it brilliant. You'll spend each loop exploring different planets, uncovering ancient mysteries, and slowly piecing together why the universe keeps resetting. Every answer leads to more questions, and every discovery feels like a personal victory. And it's not just about the puzzles. The game is packed with emotional moments, lonely planets, haunting ruins, even a few terrifying encounters. The deeper you go, the more Outer Wilds messes with your expectations. It's a game best played blind, so if you haven't tried it yet, don't look up anything, just dive in. It's easily one of the best sci-fi games ever. There's no other RPG like Disco Elysium. No combat, no fetch quests, just you, a washed-up detective, and a city full of people who all have something to say. It's a game where every decision matters, not because of loot or XP, but because of how it shapes your character in the story. Imagine waking up after a spectacularly bad night, trying to solve a murder while also figuring out what the hell you even did before blacking out. And here's the twist. Your own thoughts are characters. Your brain constantly argues with itself, with different aspects of your personality battling for control. The writing is sharp, hilarious, and sometimes brutally dark. And every conversation feels like it could go 100 different ways. I personally find this probably the best game to play after you've had a few drinks. Just something about the voice acting and the art style for me. Maybe I'm alone on that one, but hey, it's not for everyone either. It's slow, very text-heavy, and doesn't hold your hand. If you love RPGs that give you true freedom in role-playing, Disco Elysium is an absolute masterpiece. At first glance, Celeste looks like a simple pixel art platformer, but anyone who's played it knows it's so much more than that. It's an emotional journey wrapped in a brutally precise challenge, and the Switch might just be the perfect place to play it. The game follows Madeline as she climbs the treacherous Celeste Mountain, not just fighting against the environment, but also against her own doubts, fears, and mental struggles. The story is surprisingly deep, with a raw look at anxiety and self-doubt, but what makes Celeste so special is how it translates all of that into gameplay. Every jump, dash, and wall grab feels tight and deliberate, which is crucial when you're navigating levels filled with spikes, moving platforms, and sections that require absolute perfection. And let's talk about that soundtrack. Lena Raine's music is an absolute masterpiece, mixing soft piano melodies with intense electronic beats that evolve as you push further up the mountain. With headphones on, the experience is even more immersive, making it easy to get lost in the rhythm of the game. Whether you're up for a challenge or just in it for the story, this is a must-play. People sleep on how weirdly compelling Terraria's story is. You don't get cutscenes or long monologues, but the game does have a narrative, buried in the world itself. You land in this empty land, build a shack, then dig down, and suddenly it's Lovecraft. The bosses all have lore, there's a cursed jungle temple, a floating space cult, and a whole underworld run by a demon lord. Everything escalates. First, you're fighting slimes with sticks, and then you're summoning eldritch horrors with cursed dolls and rocket launchers. The real hook is how much you shape the story. The NPCs move in because of what you build. Wildly underrated. Please hit the sub button and check us out in the next video. Best isometric RPGs you can play right now. See you in the next one.